Empowering Youth Voices and Online Safety, Digital Harms, and Beyond. This is our third podcast with the Survivor Council. And to the right, I have Tish. And I have Ruth, Girls Club with us, Aaron and Stephanie. And of course, the extravagant Lady T is with us. And we're going to talk about online safety and digital harms.
Yay! Hey, ladies.
Hi.
First, I want to say welcome and thank you for joining us. We have some questions we would like to ask. We appreciate you showing up here with us, and so let's get it going. So my first question is the importance and structure and safety when it comes to having these conversations with these young ladies, the youth. How do you get it started? Like, how do you start these conversations and creating that safe space for them?
So for me, I have nieces and nephews that are currently preteens and teenagers. My children are all grown. But the first thing I try to do is to come down to their level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to seem like auntie or mama fussing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a conversation. Let's talk about it, you know. I try to lean on experiences that I had at their age to let them know, like, this stuff is normal. It's a little different now because I'm a lot older than they are, so we didn't have the social media stuff, but we still had dangers. And I just want to start the conversation with them being comfortable and just feeling like it's a conversation and not a lecture.
Okay. What about you, Erin?
I agree. And I think that there's no way around it. I think that we just have to just talk about it, you know, like it's something that we all know is going on in our world today. And there's no way around it. Like, you just have to, it's nothing to it but to do it. Just, you know, just talk about it. You can't let your fear or however you feel keep you from engaging, you know, because I think it's important for the youth to know that they have advocates and they have people that care, and we're aware of what's going on, and we want them to be aware as well. And it's, you know, it's just, we just have to do it.
Okay, so we were just with these girls, and the ages are from 7 to 17, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're having these tough talks with them about online safety and human trafficking and with the trends that's going on today, how we got to them was, well, I'm not going to say got to them, but the word I'm looking for is, I guess, catch their eye, keep them interested, was creating these toolkits, right? Or reels. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was sort of like a pattern breaking moment for them where they could really identify some cautions when it comes to being responsible online?
I do. And first of all, they loved it.
Okay.
They loved doing those skits. It was a way for them to have a conversation and it still be kind of like, not necessarily fictional, but I'm not really talking about me. We're acting, you know, this out, but really we're getting their true and real thoughts out and their reactions to certain things. So, yeah, I think it was very impactful.
Okay.
Can we, Lady T, what's a toolkit?
Well, a toolkit is a mechanism. It could be written, it could be a link, it could be something that you can use to teach, reach, and bring a learning mechanism to an audience. And so the toolkit was phenomenal. And may I go back a little bit? I want to say Alice has done a great job with the Survivor Council.
Yes.
The Survivor Council, when it comes to this podcast, there was a lot of research, there were a lot of storyboarding, there were a lot of features in terms of figuring out what are the trends that's going on with youth, because I know I'm from a different generation myself. We don't know, and so kudos to all the facilitators like Tish, who did a fantastic job with all 4 groups.
Oh, thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to touch on what the question and pick up where Stephanie left off. But I was gonna say, we had talked about, like, we had the challenge of being able to reach the age group 11 and up. So like we have 7 to 17-year-olds, and the 7 to 11-year-olds, like, we don't have a problem getting them to participate, and like, they enjoy it, they love it. But the 11 and up or the 12 and up, like, we were just, for a long time, we were trying to figure out how we could reach them and get them to interact and be more engaging. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that session was the icebreaker. I feel like you all just coming in, and at the time we didn't know. I mean, I imagine that you put work in it behind the scenes, but we didn't know how much work went into it. But it showed once we but once we got into it, like, you can tell that there was a lot of work put into it, and we were really grateful for that, because I don't know, we were just missing it. We didn't know yet, so it takes a village. So I'm happy that you all came in and brought that in, because we were able to reach that group that we were trying to reach for so long.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate it. And then back to Alice. Well, kudos to you, really, because you are really the epitome of leadership, and you help us navigate throughout this journey when it comes to reaching these girls and the youth, and the dangers of human trafficking, sex trafficking, online safety. So kudos to Alice, Lady T, the Survivor Council as a whole. This is something that we're very passionate about. Some of us have really lived some really tough lives, and it brought us to this point. We don't want the young ladies coming up after us to have those same experiences. So, that's why we do what we do. So we really want to know, I'm sorry, Alice. Oh. So we really want to know, when it comes to, again, with these tough talks, we mentioned when we were spending that time with these ladies, the importance of a, what kind of adult?
Trusted adult.
A trusted adult.
Yeah.
Trusted adults.
Trusted
Oh,
adult.
I love trusted adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you break that ice? When you want to let these young ladies know what is a trusted adult? What's a trusted adult?
A trusted adult is someone that may not be your parents,
okay,
or just somebody that sounds just like it is. Somebody you can trust. Somebody that has your best interest at heart. Like, if I come to you, or if I come to you, I know that you're gonna give me sound wisdom, sound advice. You're gonna steer me in the right direction, and you're just gonna make sure. If you don't have the answer, you'll figure out the answer, or maybe just somebody that can just listen to you. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen, and not give you any advice or give you any wisdom, but sometimes you do. So somebody you just feel comfortable with sharing with, like, stuff that you go through, but they're older, obviously. And yeah, you want to chime in on that?
I just want to say somebody that has your best interest at heart. Because you can feel comfortable talking to somebody that's preying on you because you
Yes.
don't know they're preying on you.
Right.
But you gotta, and I don't know, like we try to show it. We try to show them in every session. Even like she said with the older girls, they were kind of, it's okay, you know. They still know because of our interaction with them that we got their backs.
Right. You know what? That day, though, I think actually having visuals and tangible evidence, like those flyers of those missing girls, that, I mean, even it hit home for me, like, this is no joke, that might have struck a nerve, you know. And that was my next question. This is my question for all of you ladies, is what kind of tactics actually do we think they can deposit into their toolkit? Like, what tactics stick when it comes to these 7-year-olds all the way up to the 17-year-olds?
Well, that was the greatest thing about the toolkit, Biz, was because the way it's designed is that they get to be empowered and understand their own ability to be able to be leaders in the community and to change the narrative of trends, which they wouldn't have got had we not presented that opportunity to them. Because on social media, it's all negative. It's negative, negative, and so a lot of the youth don't understand that they can change the narrative by using their leadership skills and coming up and creating different ways and means to connect with their peers. You know, that was one of the best things that I felt about it. And I remember, you know, back in September when I met Arian, and she just had this glow about her, you know, that she was just so genuine and authentic. And that was one of the reasons why I reached out to Rebirth Ruth Girls Clubs, right? And I was so excited to come in and do this for you. And it was a lot of work that we put in. Like the ladies really was going through trainings, and we were showing up at class, and you know, and we was coming up with different ideals to be able to present to the youth. And so it was just as much amazing for us to see it come to life as you are, as it was for you guys.
They had to calm me down before we.
For real?
I was on 10. I was like, we have to show them this, and we have to show them this, and they're looking at me
I'm like, no,
Tish, bring it down, because we might scare these ladies.
We don't want to scare the baby.
We want a trusted adult.
And they had fun.
Yeah, they had fun.
I just want to just echo that. What the beautiful part about how did we get to the point of having a resource, because the toolkit is a resource, is the storytelling of it all and looking at every story is a human being, right? And Alice just eloquently communicated what she communicates, what leader she embodies. I used to say embrace, but she embodies leadership, because you can't be what you can't see. So the leadership that she embodies with all of the level of advocacy that she does, it permeates throughout the rooms that she services. But one of the things that was fascinating was when you give youth, and youth, I'm going to segregate it a bit. Youth can be under 40, youth can be under 24, youth can be 17 and under. When you give youth the opportunity to storytell and participate, you get the best out of them. And so I think for Alice and I, and I'm speaking for us collectively, is we saw it with the Survivor Council, but then we saw it again with the Survivor Council facilitating to the youth, and it was beautiful. So much so at one point Alice was like, "Hey, T, just come sit down. Just come sit down." I'm like taking pictures and stuff. She's like, "No, just come sit down." It was beautiful to see that.
Inward, outward, forward.
Yeah.
Lead
Inward,
to
outward,
lead.
forward.
Right. Teach to lead.
What else
lead
do
to
you,
teach.
I forget, being a part of the Survival Council, we empower, educate, and what's the third one?
Inspire.
Prevent.
Prevent. Empower, educate, and prevent. So I want to know, are you two ever uncomfortable when it comes to these conversations? When you have to facilitate, is there like a line where you're like, maybe we should, I don't know, because I'm learning that line, if there is one. I don't want there to be, but you know.
I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but just careful.
Careful. Why?
Because for one, these aren't our kids. Even though we kind of look at them as our kids, they're not our kids. We have to be careful with the information that we're sharing. Because sometimes parents are like, oh no, I don't want them hearing about that right now.
Okay.
So we try to, like, before we move into whatever the next subject is, have conversations with the parents too, to let them know, like, hey, this is where we're going. You know, are you okay with this? So I don't think we've gotten to the point where we've ever, well, not me anyway, where I was just uncomfortable, but I'm always careful. And I'll be like, oh, we got to be careful. We got to make sure that that's okay. Just things like that.
I love the way you guys are so interactive with the group, and you know, I love your opening when you do your workshop with the ladies and the song, and oh my God, it just like it set the atmosphere.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, that's what we try to do, because, you know, like, you know, that word just did something to me. I have to remember that why I'm doing this, right? It's not about me, you know, so the name of it is Rebirth Ruth. You know, God gave me this vision.
Tell us about that.
So, I always had a feeling that I had a calling working with young women, but I didn't know what it was. And God began to just speak to me about, I just had a passion. Like, I was seeing what was going on in the community. I didn't like it, and I just was like, we have to do something, right? Like, something needs to be done, and I'll figure out the rest along the way. So the name of it is Rebirth Ruth, and I read the Bible, I study the Bible, and you know, it's based off the book of Ruth. And so in the book of Ruth, in the story, you have Ruth, but you have her mother-in-law, Naomi. And nobody ever really talks about Naomi, but I feel like if it had not been for Naomi, Ruth would not have been who she was. Like, she wouldn't have been able to produce greatness. She wouldn't have been as successful as she was without her elder, Naomi. So yeah, like, Naomi told her everything she needed to do. And it's so special, because when you look at the story, you see there's a point where, like, all this bad stuff has happened to Naomi, and she's like, I'm going home, back to my homeland. And when she goes back to her homeland, there are women in the town that are like, did you hear? Naomi is back. So I'm like, who is Naomi? Like, the women are excited. The young girls are excited that Naomi is back. And I say, yo, who is Naomi? Like, she must be that deal. Like just a fierce older woman, a fierce elder that they trust, a trusted adult.
Trusted adult.
You know?
Good
So-
orderly direction, divine guidance.
So I'm like, we're gonna be the Naomis, and we're gonna rebirth Ruth. And, you know, because it's a lot we see what's going on in the community with our girls, and, you know, what they're posting on social media, and, you know, just the behavior in general. Like, they don't have a lot of good positive influences, you know, with social media or just TV in general, or the media in general. And so, yeah, we want to change the narrative, and we want to talk to them about what love is, what self-love is, what it looks like, you know, how you know, to conduct themselves like ladies, and what to look out for, how to protect themselves.
Education is power.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
You know, everybody wants to shield, but when you shield, once you're faced with it, you have no defense. If you got the knowledge, then you have a defense against it. You understand it. You see it. Now I can go tell Miss Stephanie, or, you know, Tish.
I don't want to be an elder, though. Let's put that on the record.
Right. You guys are youth. You guys are youth to us.
I'll take trusted adult. take you as an adult.
And I'm forever young. I'm never getting old.
I
mind
just,
being
I
that
just,
older.
I don't mind either. Cause
I
it's
love
just,
it.
yes, you know.
I love it. I love
You are
I
not
love
I'll
elder
be no
yet.
elder though, but I'll be an elder.
See what I'm saying?
I think I like the trust of the doubt too.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a
But-
trusted adult.
I know before we segue, I just, again, thanking you for having thank you for having the awareness is key session, because that was it, is what it was titled, at the Hillman Recreation Center. I want to just talk about statistics, and Alice know I'm a data person and I like data, but there was two things that when we were preparing about the online harms, that in the state of Michigan, the Michigan Department of Education did a survey in 2022, and they said that 24% of students in Michigan had experienced cyberbullying.
Absolutely.
And 18% had reports of online harassment. Then when another study had came out nationally, and the Pew Research Center said teens overall in the United States of America, 59% experience cyberbullying and 45% experience online harms. So when you did the session for key awareness and having the Survivor Council, I don't know if you knew how prevalent or if you knew that data was out there. So just wanted to share that before.
And how
Tish's
powerful
next
that
question.
was.
That
The
is
collaboration.
absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because we had, well, as at the Survivor Council, as the Survivor Council, and what we've been involved in lately, those statistics had been mentioned prior to us hanging out with the young ladies, and it just burns. I don't want to say buns. I just said buns. Oh my God. It just makes me so angry, and it gives me more
Fuel.
fuel to do what it is. I think that we've all been brought here to do, and encourage these young ladies, the youth in general. And Erin, you had mentioned, teaching them how to be a young lady. There's a particular way to sit when you have a skirt on, and how to dress, and that it's okay. Because today, for some reason, being a young lady is not normal anymore. So, we touched the topic of those trends, those uncommon trends, and just what to do when we are bringing these topics about, facilitating, being creative when we have these conversations. Once again, like, what do you do when a young lady comes to group with you ladies and she is showing a little bit more than desired? What does that look like?
We haven't actually experienced that I can remember. But one thing I'll say, it's hot in the building where we are. It be
Right.
hot.
And
So
we gotta meet them where they at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we can't expect them to be at a certain level. Like, and that's the whole point of the project is coming together and meeting them where they are, and accepting them as they are, and then equipping them with knowledge, and knowing that they have a trusted individual in their life. Because we're dealing with inner city youth, we're dealing with people from all different types of upbringings and backgrounds, so we can never have like a stigma, on that. We always have to be open and understanding to different cultures and different things. And that's why we do the trainings ahead of time, so that we know exactly what we're going to be talking about, how it needs to be presented, what not to say, what to say. Those type of things are very important behind the scenes, before the actual interaction with the youth. And I think we did an excellent job at delivery, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this podcast with you guys.
I'm so grateful to be a student and constantly learning in this process, because from where I come from, this generation and there's such a gap, from when I was raised. You bring the belt, you know what I'm saying? You bring the belt, you get it together, So but I need to learn. I have a 12-year-old, and that's being strict and just this is what it's gonna be, and not having those conversations is not how I want to raise my daughter. I don't want her. I want to be her trusted adult. I really do. So I guess my question is, so we have daughters and close nieces and cousins, and being 2024, something different has to happen. And you said meeting them where they are.
Yeah, we have no choice. We have to meet them where they are, because we can't, expect them to be somewhere that they're not. And when we try to force that, then it imposes something. The thing of it is, this generation, they're going to be on the internet. Mm-hmm. They're going to have social media interactions. Mm-hmm. So the best thing and the most wisest thing to do is to give them the knowledge, yes, to be able to equip them with being able to figure out how to, in that real process, they were learning how to say no. Mm-hmm. They were learning how to say, you need to stop that. I'm going to tell the teacher, because if it's not presented to them, then they won't know how.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to have a follow-up to that. And I think the lesson in the experience is really, and I learned this from the Survivor Council from one of the members, is like the reels is a public service announcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can
absolutely.
we use public service announcements or social media reels to enhance awareness and prevention efforts on online harm and digital harms? And from now understanding that reels are a public service announcement, what are some of your best takeaways about what that looks like today from that experience?
Oh, you doing it to me now? Okay. So are you saying, like, what are the benefits of the reels, or is that what you're saying?
And having that public
Yeah.
service announcement.
Like what we just talked about, one of my biggest takeaways is beyond targeted adults, trusted adults, is stranger danger, the messaging that actually came from the youth and the creativity about things that go on, even down to talking to the coach, being a coach. And I'm referring to Stephanie because in one of the toolkits, one of the reels, she was the trusted adult as the coach that the youth wanted to talk to. So my question is more like, how can we continue to do things like that so that we can bring more awareness, bring more education, bring more prevention, because the trends are always moving, and technology is a tool, right? And we have more AI and more things that I don't even begin to understand that's moving. So how can we continue to bring those types of activities with girls?
You already passed it. You already passed it. So basically, I would say, and I'll pass it back, but I would say that just stand in the loop. Alice brings up a very valid point about meeting the girls where they are. So I'm still learning, like she don't want to be called an elder, but she my elder. So a lot of times I'll have ideas or I have thoughts, and I'll bring it to her, and she's able to steer me in a different direction or make it to where
As you should.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I love my elders. I need my elders, and
I like the word intergenerational.
Okay. But I mean, it's not a bad thing. But I get what you're saying. But
It's absolutely a good thing. And another generation, like other cultures, elders are the truth. You go to your elders, and we need to, in cultivating that. And it's awesome because you got 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, 4 generations of intellectual collaboration. When we were doing the reels, we had all 4 generations.
That's
We
awesome.
don't have enough elders for this generation.
or the elders trying to be You know? Okay. Anyway, so it's important to just be in the loop and be aware of what's going on. And like, I have a little cousin. She's not really little anymore. She's growing up. She's 17. So I like to just sit down and talk to her and pick her brain. Like, what's going on? What's going through? What's popular? What's popping right now? You know, what are some issues? And then we do like, it's like a debriefing, but not like the word debriefing, like more laid back. So afterwards, I'm like, what did you think about this? What did you think about this session? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What could we have done differently? What are some things you want to talk about? She gives me good feedback, so I appreciate that.
And I was going to say the same thing. Keeping them inclusive.
Okay.
Letting them kind of lead sometimes.
You said it.
They have so many ideas and so many thoughts, and they're teaching us stuff, actually. So allowing them the chance to lead, giving them the opportunity, okay, so what y'all want to do? How should we do this? We might have to structure things a little bit, but they have ideas, and they're even the 7-year-olds, like, they got stuff to say.
Right. If
And
you
just-
create the space and you give them the opportunity, we couldn't have did that without them.
Right.
Right.
And another thing I was gonna say is showing them different things. So I don't know how many. I didn't grow up in the church. I knew about church. I went to church a few times as a kid, but I didn't grow up in the church, so I didn't know it was actually uncomfortable for me to go to church. But if somebody had, kind of exposed me to it more, then I wouldn't have been so uncomfortable. So maybe exposing them to different things, like the event that we have tomorrow. We didn't get a chance to really do it, but I would have liked to have maybe had them dress a certain way, just so you can see, like, you don't have to always be half naked to look good. We look good in our what is this?
I got you. We're gonna partner and do something on that right there.
That type of thing. We're planning to have a tea party.
Yes.
And that's definitely going to be an event where they gotta get spiffy. You can't just come in with some tank tops.
And I got tea
flip-flops
sets.
on.
You do?
Yes, I do.
All
Oh,
right.
I'm glad you brought that
All
up.
right.
Yes.
I'm
So-
glad you mentioned that, Stephanie. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut
it's
you
okay.
off. And because immediately all I could think about was them having an example of, or their voices being activated, right? So, and that's important at that age for them to know. I don't have to stay silent if I have something to say.
My voice matters. My
My
opinion
voice matters. And if I'm uncomfortable when I'm on the internet and something is, if there's an interaction happening, I can say, no, stop, I don't like this. I need to talk to my trusted adult when those conversations are happening. And I'm glad we also mentioned the fact of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, because we also need them to know, well, this particular outfit could possibly invite the wrong type of crowd, and here it is. They're not here because they care about you and they love you and they want to see you win, but because this is, having those candid conversations. That's why I was mentioning that.
I think it's important also to just lead by example.
Absolutely. That's what we do.
Like Stephanie mentioned, like, you can be cute and have on clothes, like, for real. And yeah, you can be cute and have on clothes, but also I think it's important, like, not to single people out.
Right.
So, like, if you have a girl that is maybe dressed, maybe have something too revealing on, maybe it's not the timing is not, don't do it right there, but maybe we'll have a session and we'll talk to all the girls about attire, or like you said, you could wear that, but what type of attention is it? What type of attention will you get off of, like, what you have on? Is that what I'm
Oh my goodness. This is one of the conversations with doing the reels. And I don't know which group it was of the 4 groups, but one of the groups talked about that. inappropriate before, as they were brainstorming on what they were going to do. It's like, should we talk about inappropriate clothes? And so when you have inappropriate clothes and you put it on social media, that too can bring about predators. And I was impressed. I'm like, wow. You know, who would have thought that someone between 7 and 17 would be so proactive with a discussion, which goes back to saluting you all as youth workers in having a safe space for transparency, authenticity, and the availability for youth to actually do peer-led activities, to have those deliberate dialogues, to look at how there is confidentiality in having a trusted person. At the same time, you have support.
Right.
So I have a follow-up question, and what you were sharing is, in you all's experience as being a youth worker and having a lot of engagement from letting the girls' voices be heard, what has been your best takeaway from your experience of working with the girls? What's been your best takeaway? Not just with our session, but just in being a youth worker, because you all could get burned out, or you all can have unique experiences. And so being authentic, and that's why, going back to Alice's leadership, you can't buy or bottle that level of authenticity, right? You can't do that. So just curious, from your authentic perspective, what's been your best outcome or experience with the girls?
My best takeaway is when the youth come back and ask for something that we gave. So like, we had in an organization, a different organization that I worked for in the past, we had this thing called Courageous Conversations. And so we would, every day, and they came back like, hey, can we do the Courageous Conversations? Like, that was good. And it was talking about things that I thought would have made them uncomfortable. Tell me about the time when you had to tell somebody something that was hard for you to tell them. And some of them in the beginning were like, they didn't want to go. But once people started talking, then everybody had 3-4 stories that they wanted to tell. And then they wanted to do that again. Like, hey, can we do the Courageous Conversations again? Like, they had stuff to say. And now they want, this to be the platform to share it. And so those kinds of things are what make me happy. When we presented something to them, especially that they thought they weren't going to like, and then they come back and ask for it. Like I said, those reels, they love that. And so I'm sure they're waiting. When are we going to do that again?
Oh, we're going to have some fun.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
For me, it would be, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she gets excited about Rebirth Ruth. Like, she's always asking, when are we gonna, she heard me talking about the podcast, and I was talking to her grandmother about it, and she got on the phone. She was like, yeah, we got something this week. And I was like, no, that's for me, but, I'm like, we do have something, but what I was talking about, that don't have nothing to do with you, but, it's like, it's working, to see that it's working. Or like when we have the prayer, like one time I was nervous because I wanted to go in a different direction, but I was just feeling it, right? And so I was like, let's do something different today. And I went in a different direction, and because in my mind, like I said, I was nervous, and I was like, I'm just gonna let God lead, right? I don't know how they're gonna receive it. That was what was making me nervous. And afterwards, somebody, how old is Marcia? 8. She came up to me. Okay, she came and said, today was good, and I really loved the prayer. And I was like, oh, like, really, you did? And I was like, but that was the confirmation that I needed, and it made me feel so good, because I was nervous. I was like, I didn't know how they were going to receive it, if they were going to receive it. And, but yeah, so like, to know that it's working, to know that they enjoy it, to see girls that are like introverts coming out of their shells and interacting. And so, yeah, it makes, and then sometimes like Saturdays I had to push myself because I work a lot. And so when Saturdays come, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like doing this, but I know I have to do it, right? Because this is what I was called to do. And then when we do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was worth it. It was so worth it, and it, it's very rewarding. So.
Well, I'm outdone. Like, I'm excited about the next event. We had a ball. I know the Survival Council had a ball, and we're looking forward to hanging out with you ladies again and the young ladies with whatever activities we do. And I think that's important that we get them involved in executing these real life events that take place, like these mock situations. Mm-hmm. So I have one more question for you, ladies. When getting the families involved, what tools can the families use to help support healthy online engagement?
While we're thinking about that question, I have some more statistics. So I know we focus a lot on sex trafficking and sextortion. It's really a hot topic and a necessary dialogue that in Michigan, the National Human Trafficking Hotline number in 2022 reported over 333 cases that came from Michigan, which was a total of 460 victims, survivors. In the United States, the same National Human Trafficking Hotline number recorded over 10,583 cases and 16,658 identified victims. So when we have these discussions, going back to every story as an individual, when we think about families, sometimes families just don't know. They don't know how to identify the harms that comes along with digital mechanisms and online safety. They're just not equipped to handle it. And so, again, kudos to you for your investment in the community as youth workers with this wonderful organization by helping to let the village, with the children are members of the village too. It takes a village, but letting the village be participatory with these dialogues. So
I want to answer my own question.
Yeah.
So the Survival Council, we live by these three words, and this is what moves us when it comes to empowering these young ladies or working with the youth in general. And one of them is educate. And educating ourselves, because it's a lot that we do not know. We grew up in not this time. So the internet wasn't even a thing when I was growing up. So knowing what kind of apps are out there, they have these chat rooms nowadays where they can send these AI pictures, but it's of a 16-year-old boy, but it's really a 45-year-old man behind the scenes. So I think it has to start with us as facilitators, youth workers, moms, aunts, uncles, educating ourselves on what the dangers are, and then also, hey, did you know about this? And setting those parent controls up and knowing what to do when there's a hack, or we just really have to, and it seems like it's never ending.
Well, it's a multi-million-dollar business. Mm-hmm. And I mean, how many of us as adults haven't been somebody hasn't sent us something inappropriate or said something inappropriate to us online. Mm-hmm. So, and if it's happening to us, then it's highly likely that it's happening to them. So, and that's one of the reasons why we are our council and why we do the homework and do the research, so that when we do and interact with organizations and students and stuff, we have the toolkits to be able to give to them to say, hey, on this website you can do this, on this one you can do that. And so it's just about creating that conversation to be able to open up the conversation itself and having the space to do that. That is one of the most powerful parts of it, and then having the toolkits to bring in and the leadership behind it to do the task. Like you said, it takes everybody, the family, the leaders, the community leaders, teachers, to allow the conversation and to do the research and understanding how to empower our youth. Because that's what it's about. We want them to be able to make sound decisions, not clouded decisions because they've been lied to on the internet, right? We want them to know the difference between the lie and the truth. And
I'm so glad you mentioned that, them being lied to. So when it comes to us facilitating these conversations, I think that it's best that we give them something too. When we're having the conversation, that we're being transparent with them as well about our own experiences, because they need to know.
Yeah.
I don't think it would do them any good if, oh well, she's just saying this because she read the stats. No, I live this life. This happened to me. This experience happened to me, and because I don't want this to happen to you, this is why we're having this conversation. So, and that also too creates that safe space. They
absolutely,
need to know.
that's why the Survivor Council is what it is, because we needed to have that collaboration of minds, that collaboration of passion, that collaboration of compassion. You know what I mean? And then coming into a place where we got the equal to that with Rebirth. Right, and you guys, and us coming together to like say, okay, well, we got these babies. We're about to educate these babies. We're about to up their game to the next level.
Because I feel like awareness is key. And at this point, you're reading all these statistics, all these numbers. Like, we need all hands on deck. Like, all hands on deck. And so, remember how back in the day, you could be outside past a certain time, but your family didn't have to be around. If the neighbor was around or the person around the corner that knew your family was around, they like, what you doing outside? You better get home. Or ain't you such and such child, so-and-so? We need that, because I can't be everywhere at all times, If you see my daughter doing something wrong, or you see just something inappropriate, we need all hands on deck. And we just have to pay attention more, be aware, adults as well as the youth, know what it looks like. What is it, I appreciate the reels so much because the girls were able to interact and have fun and bring their own personality. But they were still learning valuable information, you could be on it, because my daughter plays, she plays, I don't know, I can't say the name, but she plays this online game. So even after that, we're having conversations. She's like, yeah, Mom, I'm playing a game right now. Roblox. She's playing Roblox. And she's like, I said, okay. She's like, I'm playing with my friend. And I said, remember what we talked about, this is a teaching moment, learning moment. Remember what we talked about in Rebirth Ruth, right? About online safety. She's like, yeah, Mom, I remember. And I said, okay, because we don't know. I don't know who she's playing against, but then I can't shelter her from every single little thing, you know.
That's why we educate.
Yeah.
That's why we educate, empower, because when you give an education to empower the youth, they can prevent it themselves. They gonna see it. They gonna know it.
I want to go back to the question and answering your own question is that families, everyone is a stakeholder. Everyone is a stakeholder, from the youth themselves. Everyone is a stakeholder, and I love this quote, that's the best way to predict the future is to create it. And just even in this space, we're creating prevention, awareness, and education. So we are creating the future with the conversations, with the activities, with the engagement.
Absolutely. This was amazing.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited too.
What are we doing next?
And if you guys have any input, you can go on the speak pipe and you can chime into this conversation. Also support.
Yes.
If you want to support some organizations that's doing awesome work, support the Open Gateway and Rebirth Ruth.
Yes.
Tish is a great co-host, and even how you transition and segue to things, you do a great job. I really encourage you to continue to look into what communication can do for you. Yeah, I really mean that.
Yeah, 'cause
so don't be hard on yourself.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Please don't make her cry.
And a heartfelt thank you, and kudos, salutes to you working with with youth is always important. And I love the conversation that came out about the intergenerational piece, because that is the biggest investment to any forms of stakeholder engagement.
What you mean, the elders?
Having all generations, look, trusted adults, all generations.
Share, subscribe, like. Talk to you later. Thanks for having us. See you next
Thank
time.
you for having us. Yes.